If you still think being a millionaire means you're rich, you're living in the wrong decade. In 2025, having $1 million doesn't mean luxury. It means you can afford a mortgage, daycare, healthcare, and maybe a vacation that doesn't involve points. So in this video, I'm gonna break down why being a millionaire today feels like being middle class, what most millionaires actually own and why they're still stressed, how the real rich play a totally different game with completely different rules, and what this means for you, especially if you're still trying to hit $1 million thinking that's freedom. Because here's the truth, $1 million isn't the finish line anymore. It's just the price of entry. Let's talk about it. And please don't forget to subscribe to be part of our community. So first, why being a millionaire today feels like being middle class? There was a time when a millionaire was rare. In the year 2000, just over 13 million people worldwide had a net worth above $1 million. Back then, if you were a millionaire, you were part of an elite club, the top of the food chain. You probably didn't think twice before booking first class, or buying a new car, or retiring early. But fast forward to 2024, and the millionaire isn't a rarity. They're practically normal. According to a UBS Global Wealth Report, there are now nearly 52 million people worldwide with net worths between $1 million and $5 million, what they call everyday millionaires. That's 4 times more than in 2000. Even adjusting for inflation, the number of millionaires has more than doubled. And nowhere is this more dramatic than in the US. In 2024 alone, 1,000 Americans became millionaires every single day. There are now nearly 24 million millionaires in the US, making up 40% of the global total, 4 times more than China, the runner-up. But here's what's wild. Most of them don't feel rich because they're not flying private. They're not drinking wine from Bordeaux. They're sitting in traffic in a paid-off Honda, dropping off kids at school, eating leftovers, like Alicia Ard, a stay-at-home mom of 4, living in Ventura County, California, where the median home costs over $800,000. She and her husband own a $2 million home, but with a $1 million mortgage. On paper, they're millionaires. In real life, she drives a 2016 Honda Odyssey with 175,000 miles and says it isn't really helpful for monthly expenses. They're not alone. A boomer couple in Utah, both teachers, told Axios they have a net worth of $4 million. Sounds like freedom, right? But they said they don't feel rich. If they sold their house, they'd just have to buy another one at the same price. It's a lateral move, not an upgrade. They told Axios, the website where I got the information for this part of the video, we do feel secure but not rich, and that's the point. The definition of rich has moved, and most people didn't even notice. Paul Donovan, chief economist at UBS, put it bluntly, millionaires are no longer monopoly caricatures. It's shifted to encompass a very large portion of the population. But how? 2 words, home equity. Boomers are aging and sitting on houses that exploded in value. 40% of US homeowners now own their homes outright, many of them retired. They benefited from low interest rates, mortgage interest deductions, and 401k tax shelters. Their assets grew quietly in IRAs, in stocks, in home equity. But here's the problem. A 401k isn't cash. It's not a pension. It doesn't pay you monthly income. It just sits there, fluctuating on a screen. So even with a 7-figure portfolio, many feel insecure. They know one bad year in the market and that safety vanishes. That's why the new rich doesn't feel rich, because $1 million net worth today doesn't mean luxury. It means you bought a house before 2016. You maxed out your 401k. You paid off your mortgage. You live in a city where homes doubled in price, but so did daycare, gas, insurance, and everything else. In other words, you're asset rich and cash poor. You can't retire early. You can't stop budgeting. You can't really relax. You're a millionaire, and somehow you still feel like you're just getting by. Now moving to the part 2, how the real rich play a different game and what that means for you. Let's get one thing straight. If you're still trying to hit $1 million, you're probably using the wrong goalpost, because the real rich, the ones with actual freedom, aren't chasing net worth. They're building something else entirely. They're playing what I call the CCO game. CCO stands for control, cash flow, and optionality. That's the trifecta. That's what the rich optimize for. That's what actually buys freedom. Control means influence, and that's the first thing the real rich optimize for. According to Campton Wealth, 81% of ultra-high net worth individuals who invest in private companies do it for one reason: control. Because when you have control, you don't just react to the market, you shape it. You hire the CEO, you decide the margins, you steer the strategy, and if it fails, you learn and try again. Not wait for the next Fed meeting to tell you how your portfolio's doing. That's why so many of the wealthy shift away from passive index funds once they cross cross a certain threshold. They want direct equity, direct influence, direct upside. The second piece, cash flow. You know what doesn't pay you monthly income? A $1 million house or a 401k account locked until you're 60. According to the latest UBS Global Family Office report, the top 1% are aggressively shifting allocations away from public equities and into income-generating assets, private credit, real estate, dividend-paying businesses. In fact, the average family office, with generally a net worth of $50 meters to $100 meters, now holds 12% in direct real estate, often commercial or rental, 11% in private debt, locking in 8-12% yields, and 21% in private equity, which offers both upside and cash distributions. And finally, optionality. This is the invisible advantage no one talks about. When you own businesses, real estate, private deals, and have access to capital, you see opportunities before anyone else. You're not just waiting for a good deal to pop up on Twitter. According to FinTRX, over 63% of investments made by family offices happen through club deals. Exclusive rounds only open to people in their network. Optionality means you see things others don't. You can exit when others can't. You can pivot when others are stuck. It's not just wealth, it's leverage, okay? But you must be thinking, I'm so broke, how can I act like a billionaire and follow the BCC method? Forget the details. Focus on the principle. Control might start with something as simple as owning your own time, freelancing, selling a skill, launching a product, anything that makes your income depend more on you and less on a boss, a platform, or a quarterly performance review. Cash flow doesn't have to be passive real estate from day one. It can be a service you offer, a digital product, a small online business, or a side hustle that generates profit every month. The goal isn't to get rich quick. It's to build income streams that don't vanish the moment you stop working. Optionality, it comes with margin. When you live below your means, when you're not stuck in payments, when you have some cash saved, you can say yes to the right things and no to the wrong ones. That flexibility, that space to breathe, that is optionality. And over time, it compounds into serious leverage. You're not going to build a family office portfolio overnight, but you can stop building like someone who's trying to hit a number just to feel safe because the game changed. Well, that's it, cousins. Stay invested.